Full disclosure, I filmed this video a month and a half ago and it's taken me this long to finish it because of some new life developments, but we'll talk about that later. On with the video. Hey guys, it's so good to see you again. It's been a fat minute, but I'm back. Don't you fret. My name is Sydney and I thought that this week would be a perfect time to tackle another reading challenge. I have not been reading a whole lot lately, so I'd like to change that. I want to read more. So my idea was doing a whole spin the wheel and whatever number it lands on is however many hours I'm going to read that day. It's a very scary challenge because you don't know exactly what you're signing up for every day until you spin the wheel. I did the equivalent of this a few months back with page numbers and it was so scary. Every time I spun the wheel, I was so afraid of getting like... That's an entire book basically. And reading an entire book in one day ain't easy. But I thought... That's entertaining, right? It's entertaining to be scared and like be terrified of whatever is about to land on the wheel. You can obviously tell that I am very eloquent right now, so I think it's perfect. I think this is a perfect time to completely spend all my brain power on reading as much as I possibly can. And I also feel like hours are easier to budget in your day, you know? You don't know how long page counts are gonna take, so so fun. So I'm going to spin the wheel now for the day and then I'll tell you guys what I'll be reading probably today. So let's go ahead and do it. I always just spin it so weakly. Oh, okay. Whew. All right, it is 3 hours, here's the proof. So this means that it'll be kind of a soft start. 3 hours ain't that much. So let me go show you what I'm reading. All right, so here's what I'm currently reading right now. So I'm reading Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. I didn't know this was a nonfiction until I was like a third of the way through it, so that's great. And it's going about as well as you can imagine a nonfiction is going. I'm reading this with a friend because she invited me to attend like a discussion at her school, so I need to read it. And I'm almost done with it. I am 3/4 of the way through, so that should not take long. I'm also listening to it on audio and I'm gonna have to run a couple errands today, so I'll probably do that while I'm running those errands so I can get some of that time out of the way. But I'm also reading this awesome book, Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. I read the Curse Breaker series by her and I loved it, and so now I'm reading this series, and dude, when I tell you, this woman's writing style is so solid. It's like, it is so easy to read. Like, you don't have to use your brain too much, but it's also like really well said. Like, she just says the exact right words and the dialogue is seamless. Reading her books feels like slicing a hot knife through butter. Like, it's very seamless. It does not feel like trudging through a bog made of syrup like in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Syrup is my favorite. It's so easy. I can just like read it anytime, even if I'm tired, and that makes it so nice. So I am halfway through it now. So I'm really excited to read more of this because it's a really fun fantasy. The concept is like, in this world there's a disease and the cure to it is really expensive, and so she, the main character, works with this other guy to like smuggle medicine to poor people basically so that they can not die from the sickness. And then there's like a whole romance, and then there's a prince involved, and like it just spirals and it just progresses. So like, trust me, it's just really good. It's very good, and it seems like there is rebellion gonna happen. I mean, that's not a spoiler, that's right on the cover. So I think there's gonna be some kind of rebellion probably. The political intrigue, this is when I kind of like realized how easy her writing was, because sometimes political intrigue is so hard to read about because you need to use so much of your brain. And some of those books are still really good even though you have to use a lot of your brain. Like Red Rising is one of my favorite series and you need to use your brain when reading that book. But the political intrigue is so freaking easy to understand. Like I'm so happy about this. Like, if I ever write a book, I want it to feel like this. Like, I want anyone to be able to read it. I don't want it to be too complicated. I really like her world building and I love her prose and her dialogue and all that stuff. So I'm loving it. I'm loving my time. So those are the books that I'm going to be reading today, and I'm just gonna take you guys with me while I do that.
A few moments later.
Alright, I just finished Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. It was a pretty short read. It took me just under an hour to finish on audio. So it was pretty good. If you don't know the premise, it is about a young man that hitchhiked into Alaska and walked alone into the wilderness and then was found dead like a couple months later. So there's a lot of mystery surrounding his death, and so this author investigated the years leading up to his death and why he ventured into the wilderness by himself. It turns out he had like a whole fascination with the wilderness, like loved nature and books about nature and like all this stuff. So much so that he was willing to like burn all of his money and go venture into the wilderness by himself like repeatedly. And finally it killed him. Yeah, it's very interesting to find out the details of this dude's character and like why he would do that. It is like, it's interesting. It's a unique book. It is nonfiction. I don't tend to like those. I thought it was fiction at first because that does sound like a fiction, like I've read books that are like that. That's like a made up case like that. So it was interesting to read about an actual person that did those things. I just feel like the author talked about a lot of other people that I didn't really care about. Like he talked about a lot of other people that did similar things, which was fine, but he just was so detailed about it and like, yeah, I don't know. So it did not hold my attention through the whole thing, that's for sure. But it's very interesting, and there's also a movie about it, and I wonder how good that is. It might be good. I don't know, maybe check it out, tell me. So, I read that. I am going to read the final 2 hours today, Defy the Night. So I am very excited about that. And I'll let you guys know how it's going, and if I actually make it, or if I fall asleep. Fan in my room is so loud right now. It's really annoying. There's thunder in the background and it's like really amazing and I wish you could hear it, but the AC just turned on and it's super loud. Anyway, finished for today. I only have a tiny bit left of the book, so I'm definitely going to be finishing it tomorrow. Yeah, things are definitely picking up in this book. I really recommend. This dude has been with me for the past little bit, so yeah, I'm happy with how much I was able to read in this last 2 hours. It surprised me, honestly. It's such a fast read. That's what happens when the writing style is so flowy and amazing. I don't have to like reread every paragraph to like understand what's happening. So if you're looking for fast, really easy to understand reads, they're actually good. I recommend. Yeah, I really love it for all of the reasons that I was just talking about. I have a hard time talking about it because I don't want to spoil anything, because there's kind of an inciting incident that kicks off a lot of the action, and I don't want to talk about that inciting incident because it's not on the back of the book or anything. Like I don't want to like talk about it. So I would prefer for people to just read it. The vibes are so great. Like I love this kind of fantasy vibe. It reminds me kind of World of Warcraft. Since my childhood, I've loved playing that game, and just like the names of the different sectors and stuff like that remind me of it. Trader's Landing, Sunkeep, Steel City, like things like that just make me think of it, and so I'm just like, these are good vibes. So I'm really enjoying my time, and I'm definitely gonna be finishing it tomorrow, and then we're gonna have to pick out a new read, so that's gonna be fun. But I'll see you guys tomorrow when I spin the wheel again. I guess I just decided to match the weather today. OOTD. You can't see anything except my shirt. Yep, it's a very gloomy, rainy, gray day, so I'm very excited to be reading. In other words, it's the best reading weather for me. I think it's so, the ambiance is just like amazing and beautiful, and I feel like it kind of suits the book that I'm reading right now. And when I'm done with it, I might want to pick out like something that matches that aesthetic. One Dark Window would have been perfect right now. I freaking love that duology. But okay, so only have this much left, and that will take me probably an hour or maybe a little bit under an hour. So pretty much any number that this wheel lands on will be good to finish this book. So I'm really happy that I'm gonna be finishing that today. Alrighty. If I get the 7, I think I might like just go jump off a cliff. Okay. Oh, you got my B-roll. On the second day. Oh, my cat is very upset about that as well. I'm really glad I didn't put any higher numbers than 7 because I'm gonna be struggling. Oh my gosh. I actually did not think that it would ever land on the 7. That's fantastic. Okay, I'm definitely gonna be finishing this today. Who knows, maybe I'll finish another book because I'll be reading for another 6 hours. Oh my gosh. Alright, well, cool. I'll just go ahead and finish this, and I'll see you guys when I need to pick out another read, I guess. Alrighty, I have finished Defy the Night. I really liked it. I'm probably gonna give it like a 4-star. Yeah, I definitely recommend. It's a very good, solid fantasy that's very not intimidating and very easy to read and very sweet romance and all that good stuff. It took me how long is that? 38 minutes? Not quite 40. So that means I have a whole nother 6 hours and 22 minutes to read something else, and so that's great. I might even finish a book. So I perused my bookshelves thoroughly, and I picked one that I think is going to keep my attention throughout, I hope, because reading a whole book an entire day is not normal for me because usually I get distracted, or even if it's a good book, like I just need to do something else. So I picked a short one, Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I don't know much about this except that Katie's Reading really loves this book, so I am really excited for it. I think it's like, okay, it's in Regency, England, and there's fairies. So that sounds pretty cool. And there's like curses or something. Like I think she has half a soul, and so like she doesn't feel things completely, I think is the concept of the main character. So that sounds pretty cool, and so I'm really excited, and it's pretty short. So I think I'm gonna just like completely read this today. So that's pretty fun. That's not normal for me, like I said. So I'm just going to get on reading it, and I'll tell you guys when I'm a little bit of a portion through what I think of it. Just appreciate how outside the window is the perfect gothic day. It is so dark outside already, and it's only 1:40. That means I need to turn on some more lights, so just a sec. Slight improvement. The color palette just got a whole lot warmer. So I am a little bit of the way through the book now. I would say almost a quarter. And it is so okay. So I'm really liking it. So it's Regency England, right? So very like Pride and Prejudice vibes, Jane Austen vibes, except with magic. And it's so funny how casual they are about magic. Like, I can't even tell if magic is like a super normal thing, or if it's just because we're seeing the world through someone with such dulled emotions that she just like is, oh yeah, that's normal. But there's like a court magic person. Like, that's a normal thing in royal courts. Like, there's a magic person. And like, he's one of the characters in this. And so it's so funny to me, like how normal that is, but it's all like in England in the Regency period, so that part seems realistic and like historical. I'm loving the idea so far of just a historical fantasy romance like that. That's so cool. I am loving the writing style because it really is giving me Jane Austen vibes. I really love her writing style. I love the dialogue. I always love Regency dialogue. That's one of my favorite parts about reading books from that time period, is how they say things in such a, their vocabulary is so good but also understandable enough where it's like humorous. Like, you can understand like what they're trying to say. They always like have some kind of humorous way to say things, like, but it sounds so polite. It's like they could be making fun of someone or saying something that's like rude, but it sounds so polite because their vocabulary is so good. So that's pretty funny. But the basic concept is kind of what I was saying earlier. I think I was mainly correct. The main character has like an encounter with this elf lord, and he says that her mother like signed her soul over to him, and so he takes her soul, but only half of it because she gets saved like halfway through him taking her soul. So now she's going through life with half a soul, and it's making her have like dulled emotions and dulled reactions to things, but it's so charming. I feel like that concept for a character could seem so boring, and like what's the appeal of a character that doesn't have full emotions? Like what kind of appeal is that? But I feel like the author does it so well where she still makes her so charming, where she's so like innocent kind of. She just feels aloof a lot of the times. She'll have reactions to things that people are like, why'd you have that reaction? And she's like, oh, I probably should have had a better reaction, huh? Because she's like trying to fake reactions sometimes, so she doesn't seem like such a weirdo, especially because her cousin is like her best friend and she's trying to get married, and so she doesn't want to like get in the way of that. So she doesn't want to be like such a weirdo for her, but like it's so cute. I don't know, I really like this character. She's adorable. And also she's like so quippy because like people will say things that are kind of rude to her, but she doesn't like take it so personally where she's like, oh no, like she doesn't get like shied away from it. She's always just like has a quick response to it because it doesn't hurt her at all. So it's so fun to see how she just goes through life, and just it's so interesting to be inside of her brain. So I'm really liking it. I'm very much liking it so far. I'm really curious where the romance is gonna go, where the plot is gonna go, because I know she's like scared of the elf man reappearing and like trying to take the rest of her soul. So I'm interested to see where it's gonna go, but so far it's just been really awesome vibes, like so cute. She went into a magic shop and there was like magic books and stuff like that, and they've been to a ball, so it's just really cool. I really like it. It feels also like a very spring book. Like, it even said that it was the end of March, and April just started for me, so it's really fun. I feel like it's a perfect spring read, a spring fantasy read, so I think I chose the right book. The weather today is so bipolar. It's nice and sunny out now. I don't understand Midwest weather. I'm now halfway through the book, but I'm not even halfway through the challenge. Let me see. I'm not even halfway yet. I'm definitely gonna finish this book before the timer goes off. So I'm gonna have to read, like, I'm gonna be reading like 3 books today. I'm gonna be finishing one, completely reading the entirety of the second, and then having to start a third, probably. That's fantastic. I thought this would probably take me the whole time because it's the kind of writing style that you need to take your time with. It's very well written, and I want to just like appreciate the writing and the super fancy vocabulary and all that stuff, and so I thought that it might take me the whole 6 hours, but I think I'm gonna have a little bit of time left over, so that's gonna be interesting. Man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, I'm probably gonna be able to do it, that's just so much time. I did not know how long 7 hours was, truly, until I started this. I feel like I've been reading for 10 hours. Just wasting the day away, it feels like. Not that I have anything more important to do, really, but like, this is a lot of reading, and I'm not even halfway done yet. But anyway, I'm still really enjoying this book, for real. I'm really liking the romance. I like the love interest a lot. He's just so, the kind of style that I like the love interest to be. I don't know how else to say that. Style. I like his whole deal, really. I don't want to talk about him too much, because I like figuring out that kind of stuff for myself, and I feel like I don't want to just like say all of it. So yeah, I really like this love interest. I think their dynamic is really cute, honestly, because he's like gets overreactive and she's like underreactive because of her whatever, and it's just really funny. So I'm enjoying it for sure. It's just my attention span is just really suffering right now because I was not mentally prepared to be reading like all day. I had other stuff planned for today, quite honestly, but they're not like time sensitive, so I don't have to do them today. But yeah, what time is it now? It's 4:15 and I've only managed to read like over 3 hours. Is that true? Oh my word, that's crazy. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna be reading tonight before I go to sleep a lot, probably, but that's fantastic. Okay, I better get to it then. Alright, just hit 2 hours and I finished half a soul. So I have a whole 2 hours left. I started and finished an entire book and I'm still not done. 7 hours is so long. Well, it's almost dinner time, so I'm going to have to wait. Oh, here he comes. My reading got interrupted because there was a tornado warning. So, gives you another look into Midwest life. That's what the bipolar weather meant. So, that's cool. Shadow, you're really confusing the camera right now. But the next book I've decided to read is A Gentleman in Moscow in honor of is it a movie or a TV show that's coming out? I'm not sure. But some kind of visual adaptation is coming, and I would like to read the books first, or the singular book. But I've heard a lot of great things about it. I loved Night Circus, and I've heard that it's kind of similar with like the vibes. He's playing with stuff that's on the table. Just chill. Just chill, please. And so I'm really excited to see what kind of vibes there is. I know it's about a man who is trapped in a hotel, or like being forced to stay in the hotel or something. For whatever reason, he's in this hotel and he needs to stay there, and it's in Moscow. That sounds pretty cool. Sounds like there's really cool vibes, and it's a pretty long book. The page count isn't that big, but the words are really small. I took a peek. So I might be working on this one for a little bit. So, but for the remaining 2 hours after dinner, I'm going to get to reading. I feel like I've literally only read all day. I know that there's more than 7 hours in a day, but it has felt that way. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. I just can't believe I'm like reading 3 books in one day. I'll catch you guys later. Also, I forgot to say what I'm rating Half a Soul, partly because I do not know. Because it was so good and the ending was beautiful. Okay, I need to properly talk about what I thought about Half a Soul for a second. I love how lovable the characters were for such a short book. Like, I feel like I got to know the characters and got to love them so quickly. And I loved the time period. The whole landscape of the Regency period is so charming. And also I loved what the characters and the author had to say about the classism of that time, and how someone's wealth was attributed to their virtue and how good of a person they were, and that was such a flaw of the old times, and so I like how it called that out. And I loved Shadow! It's no use. He's playing with my earrings. I lose all my earrings because I leave them on tables and then he just like takes them away and hides them somewhere, so that's great. I loved the love interest. I loved the romance. The ending is so good. The ending is so good. So I loved it. I'm having such a hard time because it's like more of a cozy fantasy and I don't usually rate those highly. Like, they're not my favorite genre, but It was just really good. I would have liked it better if there was like some more like action going on, but I don't know, because like it suited the cozy fantasy. But I don't know. So I'm really conflicted on whether to give it a 4.5 or a 5. It's at least gonna be a 4.5. So I did really like it and I highly recommend. It's just 5 stars. I usually like get a feeling with that. I'm usually just like gobsmacked by how good it was. So I don't know if I'm gonna give it a 5 star, but it was really good. It was really good. It was really good. Like, I really liked it. So maybe I'll just give it a 4.5. 4.5 is like the second best though. Like, that should tell you a lot. Like, it was really good, all right? It was really good. I just don't know if it was like a 5 star for me because I wasn't like, whoa. And usually I'm like that with 5 stars. Yeah, I'm just gonna say 4.5 for now. It is now 10:40, so I'm gonna have to read until 12:40, but I'm committed. I'm gonna do it, okay? I take this challenge seriously. I'm going to read the full 7 hours today, no matter how long it takes. I'm doing this for you, okay? This feels like an epic finale or something. This feels like the last stretch to end the challenge, but it's only day 2. Please subscribe. Oh, I'm suffering for your entertainment. Yep, gonna start on Gentleman in Moscow now, so we'll see how far I can get in 2 hours. I doubt it will be that far, but I probably will enjoy my time. The wind is real loud. I'm still recovering from that tornado. Did I mention that there was a tornado warning? I think I did. Ooh, there's melancholic piano for cozy alone time. Relaxing bookstore ambiance. Let's see if it's good. I just feel like I really need this for this time of night. I just need something to keep me going, you know? Ooh. That's pretty good. Okay, I might keep that. Alright. See you guys in a bit. Alright, so basically what this is about, so it is about a man who is in a hotel because he's been like arrested basically. He's been sentenced to like living his entire life in this hotel, which is kind of wild. Things are crazy in Russia where they just sniff out any hint of rebellion and quench it, squash it. Quash it. They just hint out rebellion and then just like go and destroy it basically. And this guy is a poet and wrote a poem that apparently like inspired a lot of people to rebel, and so they sentenced him to life in this hotel, and so he's dealing with that right now. Right now I don't really know where it's gonna go because right now it's just about like his life in the hotel and how everyone already knows him because he's already been living there for a few years, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. I've heard it's like a vibey book. That's how my dad described it. Like, it's just very much vibe. And I tend to like stuff like that, especially if there's a magical element. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some kind of magical element in this, or if it's all just going to be like realism. So yeah, I'm curious to see. I'll let you guys know what I find out. I did it. That was crazy. Yeah, I did not get very far. This is kind of hard to read, I'll be honest. Yeah, I don't really, my brain isn't really operative enough to really understand what's happening very much. Doesn't seem like there's any magical elements, seems completely realistic, so. Oh well. Yeah, it's interesting so far. There's a lot of Russian stuff. In Russian books, everyone has like 5 names that they're referred to as, and it's really confusing. I read Crime and Punishment, and that was really confusing in that book. I eventually like caught on that they were just everyone has a bunch of names, but yeah, it gets kind of confusing. But I'm gonna go to bed. I'm tired. I read for 7 hours today, so I'm gonna go, and I'll see you guys tomorrow when I need to spin the wheel again. Morning. Let us spin the wheel again, shall we? I just really, I don't want it to be a high number. I really don't. Oh my gosh. That was so close, and I almost just jumped out that window right there. Well, that's definitely more doable than yesterday. I probably won't get very much farther then, but that's okay. I don't mind. I need a break from yesterday, okay? Oh man, okay. That's great. Well, I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble today. That is the plan. I mainly go there to just like chill rather than buy books because I don't have money. Well, let's be real, I always end up buying some book. I can never just leave there without buying any books. But the reason that I'm going there is just to be in the cafe and read. So that'll be fun. So I'm gonna be doing that with The Gentleman in Moscow, and we'll see what else happens in this book, and maybe I'll understand it better if I don't read it in the dead of night. So that'll probably be a better idea, I would say. So I'll see you guys there. Update, so we're not going to Barnes & Noble. I'm so sad. It's fine. So I'm just gonna be reading here. Boring old here. Sorry about that. It's always such a trip to go to Barnes & Noble because it's like 30 minutes away and it just, stuff didn't work out. So, but it's fine. I'll just read here. It's only an hour anyway, right? Alright, it's the next day. So I didn't film too much yesterday. I wasn't feeling very well. I was feeling kind of like lightheaded and faint all day. So I was really glad that I only had to read for 1 hour and then I just like rested and did other restful things. So, but I'm back now. I am feeling a little bit better. So I'm going to spin the wheel again, but I also wanted to mention, so I'm a third of the way through Gentleman in Moscow, and I'm not so sure that this is a great choice for this challenge in particular, because I really thought I was signing up for something different. I really thought that this would be more enjoyable to binge read. I don't know why, like from the limited things that I've heard of this, I got the impression that there would be something supernatural or like, I don't know, like I thought that it would be a little more Night Circus-esque. Like, oh, he's trapped in the hotel, but there's a portal to another world, or there's like supernatural things going on inside, but it's literally just a guy trapped in a hotel and he's just seeing the same people every day. And like, what's interesting about that? I don't really understand yet what the fuss about this book is. And I can read it in the future, but I just don't think it's a binge readable book for this challenge. And so I'm gonna put it down for now. I'm gonna finish it later, probably on my own time. But I have Circe by Madeline Miller, and I've just been feeling in such a mythology mood. I love Greek mythology, and this one is about the Odyssey. And personally, from Homer's work, I actually prefer the Iliad, just because I want to get on a whole rant, I swear. I love the Iliad. Both Homer's work have really great action, but I feel like the Iliad is able to combine the emotion and the action, and it also like has a lot from the Trojans' perspective. It's not just about the Greeks dominating. It's like it makes it more complex that way because it lets us get to know the other Trojans, and that it's like sad that they're losing almost. Like there's two sides to the war. That's like, I should stop. But Madeline Miller also made Song of Achilles, and that one is about the Iliad. But this one of her works intrigues me more because it's about Circe, who's like a villain in the Odyssey. And so the concept of it being about the villain is intriguing to me. And so like I'm interested to see her take on Circe's backstory and her origins and stuff, and why she became the villain and what happens when she encounters Odysseus and all that stuff. And I've just been really in a mythology mood, and so that's why I'm gonna pick this one up. I think this one was pretty popular on BookTok, I guess. I just saw a lot of recommendations on it. So yeah, I'm gonna be picking up this one. It's pretty short. It's under 400 pages. We'll probably be finishing this one, at least in the challenge. I don't know about today. I guess we'll see how many hours I'm gonna have to dedicate my time to this book today, but let's go ahead and spin. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, 6 hours isn't a whole lot better than 7, but at least it's not 7. Oh man, I have things to do today too, so that's great. I mean, I guess when you sign up to do a reading challenge, you're just like signing up for just nothing else that week. Okay then, that's fine. So I probably will be finishing this today then. I'm assuming this will take me around 6 hours to finish, so okay. That's fine. I love reading. I do love reading. I do love reading. So that's fine. This is fine. Alright, it is 385 pages. Yeah, my estimation is that'll take me 6 hours. So I guess I'm reading an entire book in one day again. Cool. Keep watching and follow along, and I swear if you don't subscribe after I go through all of this, you better subscribe. And like. At least like. That's the least you can do for my troubles. I'm suffering for your entertainment here. I'm just gonna go ahead and start reading. Alright, I am halfway through, pretty much. And I am pretty much halfway through of Circe. It's pretty good. I'm really liking it. I feel like as a Greek myth fan, I'm enjoying it and understanding it and following it and all that stuff. But I think if you don't know anything about Greek myths, it would be pretty confusing because they do a lot of name dropping and a lot of just references to other stories and other myths and stuff that aren't fully explained. And if you don't know the stories behind those names and all that, you might just be like, what did he just say? So if you read Percy Jackson, I feel like you're good. I also got extra help from reading some of Homer. It definitely makes it a lot easier to understand what's going on because there are a lot of myths, and I feel like for the Percy Jackson series does a really good job of like including a lot of myths in memorable ways that make you remember for a while. Yeah, that's what memorable means. But yeah, that's making it really fun. And I'm really enjoying seeing her backstory because I feel like she isn't talked about a lot in other myths. And so it's really interesting to have an entire book focused just on her and her story. And so I'm really liking it. If you don't know the basic story of Circe, basically she is a sorceress slash witch that can deal in magic. She's the son of a titan, the titan of the sun, Helios. She gets exiled to this island and like learns how to do magic there, and that's when Odysseus went during the Odyssey, and that's how he met her. And so I think that's the original myth that she is in, when Odysseus comes to her island and she like turns the whole crew into pigs or something. That's basically what happened. Yeah. And so this is just her backstory and like how she came to be the way that she was in the Odyssey. So it's very interesting, very cool. It's a lot easier to binge read than Gentleman in Moscow. That one's definitely not a binge kind of book, but this one's fun. Yeah, so I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm not struggling too bad. It's mainly just my attention span. Like, it's not that the story isn't interesting, it's just like my brain is too hyperactive to just sit still and read for hours and hours, and so I need to take a lot of breaks. So it's pretty late into the day, and later I need to go to a thing. I forget if I mentioned, but it's the reason I'm reading Into the Wild. I'm like gonna go to a book discussion about Into the Wild tonight. So that's gonna be 2 hours long, and so I'm not gonna be able to read during that time. But I think I'll still finish the challenge. I think I'll still be able to do all of it. I'll read at night. I'll read now until I need to leave. Yep, I think it's good. At least it's not 7 hours. It's not much better, but it's at least enough better that I think it's doable and I won't have to stay up all night. So yay. We'll see if I finish this book in the remaining 3 hours. I might have a little bit left, but we'll see. It's just such good writing. Sometimes I just like rereading a lot of stuff, and so I'm not reading it as quickly, which I'm kind of fine with, because when you're reading a book with like really good prose and writing, you want to be able to digest it properly, especially with the way that she writes it. It's just so reminiscent of Greek myths. She does such a good job of portraying the magic and just the entire mindset and legendariness of that time. I feel like she does such a good job of capturing that in her writing style. Yeah, so I'm legitimately enjoying this. It feels like it all could fit into like one of Homer's books. Like, it all feels like mythology. So even though I'm sure a lot of this is stuff that she's made up, because Circe isn't like a super fleshed out character in mythology, I don't believe. So she's had to make up probably a lot of things, but like all of it feels like it fits because I guess she just grasps that a lot. And I read on the back in her like little bio thing that she studied a lot of classics in college. Like, she has her master's degree or something in classics, and so it feels like she just has a deep understanding of that kind of literature, and so I can really see that in her writing, and so I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying that part of it, and it's all like done in an understandable way to where a modern reader can digest it well. Like, it's much easier to read than the Iliad and the Odyssey, but the stuff that's in it and the way that she describes stuff feels like it fits into that time, if that makes sense. So all that to say, I would definitely recommend this for anyone that is interested in that realm. Again, if this is your very first time reading Greek myths, you're probably going to be confused, at least with the name dropping. If you just like are there for the story of Circe, then maybe you wouldn't be so confused, but there's just a lot of stuff going on in the background that if you want to understand all of that, maybe this isn't the best book to start with, because it doesn't really describe that. It's mainly focusing on this one character. But yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm going to keep on reading it, and I'll keep on updating you. So, I was just kidding. I was just kidding about having time yesterday. That was, I got you. I got you so good. Like, you totally thought I would have time. No, still stayed up so late that I didn't even want to give an update when I was done with the 6 hours yesterday. So I'm giving it now. I have like literally just 20 pages left of the book, and I was so tired that I didn't even want to finish that. So I didn't finish this in one day, but I got real dang close. I read 358 pages in the 6 hours. Yeah, this book is just like, I have the same feelings that I had yesterday. But it's so wild that I read almost this entire book in one day, because this book takes place over centuries. And so it is so wild to follow the life of this immortal person over centuries of her life in just one day. That was such a bizarre experience. And so like, I'm just watching people, like legends, die away as she is, and it's so interesting to see all of these events through an immortal's eyes, and how she's just watching people die, and like watching her. She has like a fascination with mortals and their finiteness, and so she's just seeing all that through her eyes is so interesting. And she's a very, very interesting character, like very complex, cool backstory. Like I wonder how much of it, like I said, I wonder how much of it is made up and how much is like actually in the lore of Greek mythology. I'd be curious to do a little bit of research in that. But yeah, like everything that happens just feels like it's straight out of a legend from that time. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm so curious to see what the ending is gonna be, because there's like interesting stuff is happening. Like, yeah, I don't know, I'm like something is about to happen, and so I'm curious to see how it's gonna go down and how the story's gonna wrap up. I don't know if it's gonna end in like, she's immortal, so I don't know what her happy ending would be. Or if it ends in her death or something like that. Like, she can't really die, but like immortals can experience their version of death. So I don't know. So I'm very curious to see what the ending is going to be. But I definitely got what I came for. I was really wanted to just scratch that part of myself that just longed for the mythology. That definitely happened. Instead of going and reading the Iliad, which is like 5 times thicker than this, I could just read this. And I get to hear about all those characters and the events that happened, and the writing is just in like the perfect modern version of that poetry. And so I'm just, yes, very impressed by this. Would definitely recommend to all those that have the same feelings about Greek mythology. And I don't know, maybe this would be a good alternative to reading the Odyssey. Well, no, not really, actually. The Odyssey can't be compared. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel. I'm busier today than I was yesterday. I can't really, like, not do some of the things that I need to do today. So I'm hoping it'll be a small number for that reason. This wheel has let me down so many times, and I just don't want to keep doing that. So, oh good. Oh, thank God. 1! I thought it would be 2. Okay, 1 hour. That'll be enough time to definitely finish this book and maybe start another one, or maybe I can read a little bit more of A Gentleman in Moscow. And by a little bit, I mean a little bit, because 50 pages takes me like an hour. So yeah, okay, so I might read more than that. If I do, I'll tell you, but that's good because I am really busy today. So God heard me. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna finish this one up, and then we'll see what I do after that. Alright guys, that is the end of the challenge. That's the end of the 5-day business week version challenge that I did. It's been a few days, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of had to recover from the recording, but I'm back now and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So these are the books this is always a hassle, that I touched on today. I finished Into the Wild, was, you know, going back and forth on ratings. I ended up giving it a 3-star just because it's good for a nonfiction. Like, if there was any like really entertaining nonfiction that I would recommend, it'd be this one. And then I finished Defy the Night, really enjoyed it, 4 stars, definitely recommend, definitely looking forward to picking up the next books in the series. And then we have Half a Soul, which I read in 1 day, which was insane, but I really enjoyed it. Just like really great vibes overall, so sweet. It's so close to a 5-star, but I don't know if like my 5 stars are very like special, so I don't know if I want to give it that, even though there's like nothing wrong with it. So I just like gave it a 4.75, you know, just like I don't know why I'm like that, but you know. And then I read Circe, which was a very welcome satisfaction to my need to read something that was like Greek mythology coded. And so I really, really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend for those who are fans of that kind of thing like me. Did I give it 4.5? Yeah, I think I gave it 4.5 stars. Very much recommend. I mean, even if you're not a fan of it, the only reason I would recommend it if you are a fan is because then you would be confused by all the name dropping. But it's still a very enjoyable book for anyone. It's just you might be confused by the name dropping. So really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. And it's shiny. So bonus points. And then I didn't finish A Gentleman in Moscow just because I don't know, I might just end up watching it instead, which is a crime, I know, but like I just don't understand what's happening. Like I don't really know why there's a book about this. Because there's nothing happening. Like it's all just a guy in a hotel, and I thought there would be way more to it than that, but there isn't. Like it's literally just him in a hotel stuck there. I thought for a second that there would be something more, but then like no, I got this far. And yeah, so I feel like I gave it a fair shot. Maybe someday in the future I will revisit it. If I really liked the show and like something actually happens in the show, maybe then I'd be like, oh, I'm curious how they did that in the book, and then I'd reread it. But right now I'm just like, there's no point. There's no point. And I believe if my math is correct, I read for a total of 18 hours this week when you add up all of the hours that I got on the spinny wheel. So that's pretty great. It's pretty good for finishing all those books. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I put a lot of work into it, so I hope you give it lots of love. Give it the likes. Give me a subscribe, please. Subscription, please. I make this content for you. Please subscribe. Thank you. Oh, I saw you do it. I saw you do it. Thank you. Oh my gosh, you're the best. You're my favorite. You're my favorite. All right. I'll see you guys next time, and I really hope you check back in with me. Bye, y'all.